Give them a shot to do what?
Bert, it is National Apple Pie Day. Are you a big apple pie guy?
Do love apple pie. I'm surprised that a random day in May is National Apple Pie Day, though. I would suspect around maybe the 4th of July and or Thanksgiving, but okay.
Right. Listen, Western colonization. Right after Cinco de Mayo, the Americans were like, hold on. All right. How can we get this thing back on track? All right, apple pie.
Our Independence Day is a couple months away, so
yeah, we can't even let them have May. Isn't that crazy? You can't even let people have May. It's just all right. It's like they panicked in the war room. They're like, "What can we do? Apple pie." And it's here we are, National Apple Pie Day. I do like a good apple pie, only if it's like Granny Smith apple. Like it has to be.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Like I don't like I don't know what other apples, like whatever the non-tart apples, I'm not sure, like the Red Delicious or Gala or whatever apples they use for like that are not the tart ones, but you have to have tart. It has to have some cinnamon sugar in it.
And ice cream. You have to have ice cream with it too.
Oh yeah, French. Hey, for all you apple pie enthusiasts, Bluebell vanilla bean, the yellow vanilla, not the white vanilla. The French one with the seeds in it, like the little speckles in it. That's the one you need. That right there. And you'll be all right. On today's pod, we have more apple pie talk. Top 5 apple pies. No. Would apple pie beat Jordan in the best of 7? No.
But it definitely would beat LeBron, though. It would
definitely beat LeBron 100, just like getting swept by the OKC Thunder. We'll talk about that. We'll talk a little NHL playoffs between the Ducks and the Sabres. We got some round 2 upsets percolating, but maybe we'll see. Yeah. Some battles that the Wild putting up a fight, so that's pretty cool. And of course, my Hurricanes handling business. I mean, against the lowly Philadelphia Flyers.
Light work for them. Yeah.
Too easy.
The city of Philadelphia had a rough weekend. It did.
They sure did. Oh, we're going to get into that. We're getting to the other side of that coin, too.
Yep.
And shocking news out of the world of baseball, Bert. The Oakland Athletics. Are they for real? We'll find out next.
Sports.
What is up, everybody? I am the Facebook felon Germ. That is the prettier Corey Burt. And together we are Stuff About Sports. Presented by the Give Us a Shot Network. Powered by Fast Break Coffee. And sponsored, as always, Burt, by the haters.
Always.
Shout out to y'all. Shout out to all the first timers. Oh, shoot. I almost messed it up. First timers, last timers, long timers. Please like, share, subscribe, drop a comment. If you got some beef with us, you got a hot take you want to drop off, we'll read it on the show. If you don't do any of those things, I am inclined to believe you are a hater, and I hope you get a parking ticket, and then you missed your court date. Double whammy for that ass. Bert, man, what's up? How you feeling?
No, feeling good, man. Things are moving along in NHL, NBA playoffs, and I'm really enjoying watching both, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then baseball's off and running too. Some weird things happening in baseball that you wouldn't expect, and we'll get into that in a little bit as well. So
weird things in basketball too. Sadly, my Philadelphia 76ers are in it, but there's good news coming out of that, so we'll get to that here in a second. If you like our content, even if you don't, go to www.giveusashot.network. You'll find other content that we help produce. But please like, share, and subscribe to the Give Us a Shot Network YouTube channel. Follow us at Give Us a Shot Network on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and then at Stuff About Sports on the Instagram. Bert, let's get into the good, the bad, and the fugly this week in sports. What do you got for your good?
Good. I didn't have to go far because there's nothing better than a team that is 8-0 in the playoffs. And I have to hand it to your Carolina Hurricanes, and say what you want. Say if they have the easiest path. And look, statistically, it's very likely they have the easiest path to the Stanley Cup final. But hey, That's what you get for being so dominant in the regular season. You get awarded by basically picking out the trash in the first 2 rounds at least and going straight to. But listen, say what you want. In any best of 7 series, to win all 4 and sweep, not just the first round, but the second round too, as you're playing basically every other night, same guys over and over again that kind of lean into you, they chirp at you, they know your weakness. It is grueling out there, and they're doing it with absolute ease. So they swept the Philadelphia Flyers this past weekend. Now they're off. They're waiting on, the Montreal and Buffalo series to wrap up, and who knows, that could very well go 7. That's been going back and forth. And honestly, every other day, I don't know who's going to win. But so, yeah, they're going to sit there. They're going to wait around and wait to play them and to see who goes on to the Stanley Cup Finals. So good has to go to them. They are now the only undefeated team in the playoffs this year as well, I mean, it looks like Colorado, now unless they get their act together, is about to drop 2 in that series, but have already lost 1 to Minnesota. So, yeah, they've just been absolutely dominant.
Mine, shout out to the Carolina Canes. The hat's around here somewhere. It's too far for me to reach, but we're actually a couple of the guys. We were actually thinking about going to the last game that was here at home. Just to see, but the tickets. I mean, boy, the further you go, tickets, to jump up, and it just wasn't worth the 2.5-hour drive. But shout out to the Canes. Maybe if they reach all the way, maybe we'll somehow get up there.
See if you can grab a last minute deal for like $400 or $500 a ticket.
Or play the firefighter card. They said we're just going to show
up. That might work.
Hey, you guys got a crazy fire alarm in the bowels of the stadium, and then like we're like a bank heist. We like switch into civilian clothes once we get inside and try to sneak in that way. We'll see how that goes. My good going to the Oklahoma City Thunder. They didn't just sweep the Lakers, Bert. They basically deconstructed what the Lakers have built up and kind of maybe ended LeBron's Laker career on a terrible note. On a macro level, it just wasn't really about just the series win. The Thunder, in reality, are a great team. Like, they're built through the draft capital. They had, it took years. This is like exactly how you want to build a contender. They did it the right way. They found themselves an MVP candidate that they traded for early and developed, and easily the most complete team in the NBA. Defensive versatility is off the charts. Like, they can switch basically across 4 positions without sacrificing the center, which is a huge asset, specifically in the playoffs where rotations are kind of set. And if teams' rotations are kind of exposed and there's no adjustments to be made, you're going to have a really good shot at winning a lot of basketball games. So they're 8-0. Talk about undefeated teams in the playoffs. They're 8-0 to start the playoffs, which is like the 11th team only in NBA history to do that. They actually went 8-0 against the Lakers between the regular season and the playoffs this year. So, and then their MVP candidate, their best player, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, averaging a whopping 35 points a game. And their point margin is plus 23. So they're dominant. They're probably going to win the whole thing, which is why I'm not that sad about my Sixers. But the OKC Thunder, I think, honestly, the only reason they're not celebrated the way they should be as a really good basketball team is because of the flopping and the antics and the foul baiting, which is part of today's game. But like, basketball people don't like that. Like ethical hoopers will win all the time. Like, we like to see guys like Anthony Edwards and Wemby and some of these other guys who, try to get it the hard way. I think people don't respect the way they go about it. However, that doesn't change the fact that they're still a really good basketball team, and they're just using everything at their advantage. But their good is they've just been dominant. Like, they've completely been dominant. So they're my good.
Yeah.
What do you got for your bad?
So bad, I could have probably put it in the good because there's been a 24-hour swing on this one, but I kept it in my bad. However, we'll end on a strong note here, but hard to ignore the struggles that Cal Raleigh has had in baseball over the past, however many weeks. Coming off of a season where he was hitting 247, he had 60 home runs, 125 RBIs. And then, you figured he was going over 38 before yesterday's game, which is just unbelievable after coming off that monster reel. Just kind of made you realize he is human after all. So my bad went to him leading into today's show. Of course, he turned around. He had 2 hits yesterday. So like I said, ending on a good note. But how did he do it? And this is what I absolutely love about it in sports and superstition. he showered fully in his game day uniform to wash off all the bad juju. And I've got to respect it for two reasons. One, love the superstition in any sport, baseball, football, hockey, basketball. It doesn't matter. Give me all the weird shit you want to do to make yourself better. That has nothing to do with skill. But secondly, too, I mean, the fact that after he did it, he just completely turned it around and ended up getting 2 hits that night as well. Like, it's just unbelievable. So listen, it was bad spinning it around. I guess we'll continue to move that into the good category too. But we'll see. I mean, look, we're 8 weeks in. I think we're close to 43, 44-ish games or so. There's still a lot of baseball to be had. Some are saying this might be the turnaround for him to have another monster season. I think with the slow start, I'm not quite sure about that. I don't think as good as last year, but who knows? He could come off on a tear.
Yeah, for sure. My bad has to go. I hate to do this. It has to go to my Sixers. It just has to. It's, you know, now I'm happy that they fired Daryl Morey, which is what I guess the end result ended up being. But the fact that you're firing the GM after several years, nothing to really show for it. This team hasn't been any better or worse from when Elton Brand and Brett Brown were calling the shots. Still haven't made it past the second round. And in reality, I could argue we're in a worse position because of all of the money tied into Joel Embiid and Paul George, who are not going to get better. So the process is just, you know, that term is starting to get played. It's tiresome. It's an exercise in, you know, underachievement, like literally underachievement from every level, like every level. So, I think mentally being the first team to win Game 7 on the road in the first round, erasing a 3-1 deficit against Boston, I think it drained them a little bit. But New York was just a better, deeper team.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Like, and on top of the fact that the stars didn't show up, compounded by the fact that Daryl Morey didn't give Nick Nurse a bench to work with. Trade deadline was kind of a thing. It was bad. But even the raw numbers, man, like, you're talking about a minus 89 point differential against for all 4 games. Like that's not it. That's not good. It's not good.
Yeah.
It's literally it's bad. It's like literally bad.
Yeah.
47 points at halftime in Game 4, losing by 47. Like, the game was over before it really started. So, and then of course that extends Joel Embiid's conference finals appearances to 0, still 0. The only MVP in history to never reach a conference finals. It's not a good story for Joel Embiid, and he's not going to get younger. His knees are not going to get healthier. I don't know what the Sixers are going to do. They're keeping Nick Nurse. I like Nick Nurse. I know people don't want him. I'm not a fan of the fact that he made 0 adjustments, but the more I think about it, what adjustments did you want him to make? Daryl Morey gave him 0 bench. And you can't, when your star player is missing half the games, and then the other max player you have is suspended for a quarter of a season, and then Tyrese Maxey, who has a torn ligament in his finger all playoffs, you're not going to win. It's like it's a lot stacked against him. From what I hear, the players really like Nick Nurse. There's not much else out there. Like, I don't believe in firing a coach unless you have a sure thing coming down the pike. So I'm good. I'm good with Daryl Morey gone. I've been wanting him gone. So I'll be excited. Bob Myers, the guy who built the Warriors dynasty, is stepping in as interim GM because of his affiliation with Josh Harris. He isn't going to be our GM. I doubt he's going to make any real decisions for the team other than who the new GM is going to be. However, I trust his judgment. So hopefully we'll find somebody that'll get this thing turned around pretty quickly. So what do you got for your Fugly?
Listen, I'm going to carry that energy into my Fugly because I had to give it to the Sixers, to be honest with you. I started out by giving it to Philadelphia as a whole in their playoff sports this past weekend because, I mean, the Wells Fargo Center was just a pit for season ending is what it came down to. And, between the Flyers. But I think I gave it to the Sixers more so because it was, and listen, I'm sorry I have to say this, but it was just a beautiful display of all things bad and overcompensating. And you said it there, like, it was embarrassing. First off, if you look at the 4-game series, you mentioned the score differential, the point differential, but you have to call out the fact that out of the 4 games, there was one that was a competitive game, and that was game 2. And then you go back in, you had a great start in Philly on Friday. That ended up turning around because your shooting was absolutely terrible. 42-9 from the field. Like it was, and so much so there was an overcorrection Sunday, shooting 50%, but nobody wanted to play defense. It was just, I think you hit it right on the head, and something being like the emotion in the first series took it all out of them. They didn't have legs. They weren't as deep. And then look, take nothing away from the Knicks because they're a really good team. And you said it best last week. They're on a tear right now. They really are. You have seasoned Knicks fans, and you look. I'm a casual. I'll admit it. I don't have a dog in any fight. Will I root for the local team? Absolutely. I'm a true casual fan when it comes down to NBA. But you got Knicks fans out there that are saying they've never seen a team like this, or at least those in our age bracket. It's been a while. So taking nothing away from them, but man, it was just ugly, and that was just on the court. Off the court. And this had to hurt too. You had a New York invasion in Wells Fargo this weekend. Yeah. And so much so we're like, and look, I'm all for visiting fans having fun. They were just downright disrespectful. They were like basically the parading around like that. They were there in numbers. The celebrities showed up in numbers too. It's just that whole only selling to our area code thing didn't really work out well at all. So it was just all around fugly.
And, that's not stopping the local people. Like, if I'm a Sixers fan, I'm getting tickets and I'm selling them because the team's not going to win. And, New York people want to be there. It's unfortunate. Yep. I don't think you see that much with the Eagles. Like, I don't think Eagles people are doing that. So it's unfortunate. No. Right. So, like, it is unfortunate that the Sixers people are doing it, but it is what it is. Like, I can't do it. So I'm also not going to end this segment shitting on the Sixers, my Sixers. And I know New York fans have been on Stuff About Sports Instagram telling me to give Jalen Brunson his props. So my fugly this week is going to the New York Knicks. I'm going to give you your props. Backhanded compliment.
Shit.
What you did to the Sixers was fugly. How you did it was fugly. Invading our arena was fugly. Turning it into Madison Square Garden South. Not a fan of that. It was fugly. Josh Hart saying Philly's no longer, he thought Philly was a sports town. He guessed not because of the way New York was able to just kick in the door and take all of our stuff. That's fugly. You didn't have to beat us that bad. What happened? Like, you could have pulled the bench players. Bad sportsmanship. So I had to pull some numbers. Mikal Bridges, you didn't help your team win and beat our ass at all. Paying 5 first-round picks, and you had a 0-point performance. Pathetic. You're supposed to be a title team? Not in this house, buddy. Beating the beat-up Sixers? I don't care if you had 3 consecutive playoff games by winning 25 points, which is an NBA record. You lost game 2. You could have, what is it? What game did they lose it? That was last series they lost a game. We're talking about, they swept the Sixers. Yeah. But you should have swept this better, okay? It's fugly. Everything you did, the Sixers aren't good, okay? So I want to get out of the hate. Nobody wants to watch you on TV, by the way. Like, you're beating a team that bad. That's why your ratings tanked, because you don't have any stars, okay? Jalen Brunson and all of them they're not doing it for you. So the Knicks are fugly. Your attitude is fugly. You're sore winners, and I'm sick of y'all. I'm sick of your fans. I hope you get beat in the next round. I'm not wishing for anybody to get hurt, but if you do get hurt, I'm cool with it. So, anyway, that's that. All right, Bert. Now, switching from that, let's talk about the biggest playoff disappointments. Who do you have, I'm guessing in the world of hockey, as the biggest playoff disappointment?
I mean, in general, or like, are we talking between?
Just in general, like a team that you thought would, I mean, and even if they, the way I'm thinking about it is like, just based on how you did on the regular season and then your opponent, what team is just like disappointing? Like, you should be doing better, or you shouldn't have lost, like that type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think I expected I expected Carolina to really tear through. I'll be honest with you. First round, I really did expect Tampa Bay to win Game 7 against Montreal. We spoke about this last week, but you can't take away what the Canadians are doing right now. I think if anything, a lot of my disappointment is probably coming out of the West. It was a tougher conference coming into the playoffs. I mean, the East is it's very lopsided in terms of the heavy favorites and those that are good, like collateral damage, like the Flyers were. But for me, I think seeing the Stars get bounced early. Look, I get it, new coach this year, but a lot of that talent remained the same. So I was very shocked that they couldn't make it past. But overall, if I'm looking at current series right now, I think I'm surprised. I'll be honest with you. I'm surprised Buffalo's not handling Montreal a little bit better. That's been a little bit too close for probably their comfort. They've been absolutely they've been one of the heavier favorites out of the East, aside from Carolina. They had a phenomenal regular season. They were amongst the top, over 100 points. They have offensive depth, and since midseason have been talking about being late playoff and Stanley Cup contenders, which is why I expect them to advance against Carolina. But I would say moderate disappointment right now that they're not just manhandling, especially after the way Montreal finished up against, like I just said, against the Lightning. But overall, I mean, nothing taking away from, Marty St. Louis and what he's got the boys doing up in Montreal too. I love the back and forth there as well. And then looking at the West, I'm glad that Minnesota is hanging on. I don't know. I have a disdain for Colorado for many reasons. I think partly because of the bad attitude that Nathan McKinnon showed after losing the gold medal and winning silver afterwards, talking that trash about being the better team despite losing that game. So I'm glad Minnesota's hanging on, but also, same thing. I expected Colorado to just blow through everybody. So, who knows? I think that just honestly goes to show how competitive the West is. But yeah, any other series, I think there's been a good back and forth. I'm looking at Ducks in Vegas right now, and that's one that I didn't expect to be as close, because I think Vegas, what they have shown so far, I'm rooting for the Ducks, but I do think the Vegas is more the complete team overall. But I don't know, man. Getting back to it, I think the biggest disappointment probably for me, it's going to be the West. It's going to be between Edmonton and Dallas, because you got to remember those two teams were in the Western Conference Finals last year. Edmonton in the finals the last 2 years. So, for them to have those quick first round exits, and both of those teams not making much personnel changes aside from, Edmonton didn't make any coaching changes, but Dallas did. So yeah, I think it's just, new blood in the playoffs right now.
Yeah, and we talked about this actually last year. The Connor McDavid got to stop taking these steps back. I'm just saying, if you're build the way you're build, you have to start racking up some real winning. And it's he's starting to become the Mike Trout of hockey, real fast. And it's starting to not, the aura of having Connor McDavid isn't where it used to be. And having a season.
Well, I was surprised. There was a lot of a couple weeks ago before he signed it, because he just signed a 2-year extension. But a couple weeks ago, there was a lot of rumors of, they got bounced before he signed the extension. So saying, hey, where could he? Because I think he had 1 year left. So a lot of the rumors was where is he looking to sign? Where does he want to play? How does he want to compete and be a contender? But look, Edmonton, phenomenal hockey town, a lot of history to it. He's had success there. I understand wanting to play for such a historic franchise that is Edmonton, and so many greats playing there too, between obviously Wayne Gretzky and Mark Messier, and their phenomenal cup runs in the 80s. But I would have thought he would have at least kept an eye open for options elsewhere, for other large market hockey teams to be competitive, because the very last thing he has to do to, not that he's not a Hall of Famer, because he absolutely will be, but I think personally, and I think a lot of hockey fans will sit here and say, he needs a cup to complete it. That is the one thing I think will haunt him, much like any great player. If they don't have a cup, that will always be the key to look towards it being he's great, he's in the Hall of Fame, but he doesn't have a cup, So I think he feels confident enough, at least for the next 2 years, to stay in Edmonton. And then after that, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't reach that same level. Then he looks quickly or asks for a trade.
So mine, the Detroit Pistons, the number 1 seed in the East, they are the problem is the first round, they were taken to 7 games by the Orlando Magic, which was the last seed in the playoffs, right? Like, you're the number 1 seed, man. Like you got taken to the brink by the worst team in the playoffs. And now, against the Cavs, where you had them on the ropes, you let them come back. You let them get off to a 23-0 run at the beginning of the second half, and you're letting them just play. Like, in game 4, you entered the half with the lead and then didn't score for like 8 straight minutes. And probably outside of all the Sixers games, the most unwatchable stretch of basketball in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You're the number 1 seed. If you compare their playoff run to OKC, the West number 1 seed, that is what you expect. So for the people that were really high on the Pistons, by default, like the Sixers getting swept is not a disappointment. They had to go into the play-in tournament. They were barely a playoff team, and they didn't have the talent. The Pistons have been a top 2 or 3 seed basically all season. Like they've been 1, 2, or 3 all year. They never dip below that. So to see them struggle in the playoffs against, James Harden, who is like, he gets the yips every time the playoffs come around. He even scored 39 the other game, which is like amazing. So, for a guy like that, maybe this is the year for him. Maybe it's just the right team. But, you got Jalen Duren, who went from a regular season double-double machine to a guy who honestly doesn't look like he can handle Cleveland at all. His scoring average is nearly half of what he did in the regular season. Like he's supposed to be like your second or third best player. Like that can't happen, if you're a playoff team, specifically a number 1 seed trying to make it to the NBA, or at least the Eastern Conference Finals, let alone the NBA Finals. So I think just because of them being a number 1 seed, I'm a little bit disappointed in the Detroit Pistons, because as a number 1 seed, I expect you to be a little bit better. Like letting teams go on 23-0 runs is not like, that's choking. Like, you know what I mean? Like you can't let a team score 23 straight points and you not score for 8 straight minutes when you're the number 1 seed trying to get to these finals, when you had the other team on the ropes and you basically allowed them to even up the series when you had a 2-0 lead. So not good, not real good. Do you think the Sixers trade Joel Embiid? So the answer to that is no. However, if you're asking me if they should,
you've been wanting.
Yeah. Now, if you're asking me if they should have traded him 2 years ago. He is owed a $1 kajillion like next season. He has 0 kneecaps. He is going to be extremely hard to trade. And like I saw the idea of floating around Domantas Sabonis from Sacramento for Joel Embiid as a straight swap. I don't think the money works out because Joel Embiid would make too much. You would have to attach some assets. Now, if you did like Paul George and Joel Embiid for like Sabonis and Zach LaVine and Malik Monk, I would do that in a heartbeat. Like I would drive them to the airport myself, because here's the thing. You can't build a team around Embiid because you cannot trust if he's going to be there or not. So the problem is when you have a roster that is built for Embiid and Embiid is not there half the time, they have to compensate and then readjust when he comes back again. He isn't going to get any healthier. The problem is I don't believe Tyrese Maxey is a player you build around either. Like the Sixers need to pivot and build a team like the Knicks. Sabonis, in a perfect world, if we can flip Paul George for Sabonis, that would be better, because then Sabonis could play alongside of Embiid and play without him and play center and power forward. That would be the perfect thing. If we could flip George for Sabonis, that would be, in my perfect world, the way to do it. But if I'm doing Sabonis for Embiid, then Sabonis does not need the ball to be effective. That's the type of player we need if you're going to go with VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey, which I think they should. Like they need Evan Mobley type guys, Jared Allen type guys. They don't need, Daryl Morey had this hard on for star hunting. I don't think that's the way. That's not the way you do it. We just OKC Thunder, perfect example. New York Knicks, perfect example. Detroit Pistons, perfect example. That star hunting and just accumulating star players is probably not the way to do it this go around. So yeah, do I think they will? Probably not. I would be shocked. I really would be. Should they? For the right pieces, sure. I think this team needs to build a deep, versatile roster, and I think they do need to go away from relying on Embiid And if you have to trade him to do that, then do that. But we'll see. We'll see what they do in the next upcoming games. All right, Bert. Let's talk about LeBron James getting swept.
Mm-hmm.
He's in the last year of his deal. He's essentially a free agent. Do you think that he will return to the Lakers, go somewhere else, or retire?
I think it's either returning to the Lakers or retiring, to be honest with you. I think he's just hit that point. I know he's come out and said that he doesn't plan on making a decision. He doesn't know what's going on. I think he's going to think about it. And I think it's getting swept is arguably one of the worst ways to end your career. So there's a part of me that it's almost like maybe he just comes back because he doesn't want that, but you also run the risk of that happening next year too. But I would say it's either Lakers or nothing. I can't see him signing anywhere else for one more year. And I don't know what team. I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of teams just to want to put butts in seats. Maybe he goes back to Cleveland and so on. But I just don't see it happening. I don't know.
Him going back to Cleveland would be the worst thing for Cleveland.
Yeah.
I think that page is turned. They are in the midst of reaching the Eastern Conference Finals. And I see that a lot. I've seen that on TV a lot. Hey, LeBron, go play with Mitchell and James Harden. And here's the problem, because it's the problem that the Lakers had. You're then disguising a basketball team with a vanity project. Prioritizing the brand of 41-year-old basketball icon LeBron James will cripple anything you have worked for. They are just now recovering from LeBron James leaving and having to rebuild that thing and now building a contender. Why would you integrate him into that again? Because the moment you add LeBron James to your team, it becomes about LeBron James. Yeah. And we saw that with the Lakers. Luka's been hurt. I get that. That's tough. But this needs to be Luka's team now without the distraction of LeBron. And it may not be, and I get LeBron is still individually brilliant and still individually good. But just because you're really good doesn't mean that the chemistry with the team is there or that it's the best move for the team or you're the best fit for the team. And I get he wants to have his last dance type, last hurrah type deal. But then again, you going back to Cleveland to finish your story, then the story becomes about you retiring and not winning a championship. The championship becomes secondary at that point. So I agree. If you either retire or just go back to the Lakers, hopefully you go back. I'm not going to sit there and say vet minimum, but he's already like a billionaire. It's not about money for him at this point. I would assume he would go back on a really team-friendly deal, maybe some sort of part-time schedule so they can go out and try to acquire. Because simply put, they weren't good this year. Their roster wasn't very good. You want to keep the picks, but you're going to have to figure out what's wrong with Luka. You had prime Anthony Davis. That didn't work out. Like, you have to figure something out now. Like, it's time to, just like the Sixers, star hunting, that shit is over with. You're 0-8 in your last playoff games versus getting swept between the Thunder last year, getting swept by the Denver Nuggets. So, I get it. Like, you have 0 playoff wins against elite competitions in your last 2 exits. So, he's not okay. So he's not a free agent next year. He has a player option, but if he exercises his player option, Bert, that's $52.6 million they would owe him. That's 35% of the salary cap. So, I mean, obviously he could restructure that and help them out a little bit, but if he doesn't exercise it, he'll become a free agent, and that'll be that. But I heard Miami's probably, I don't know if they're a LeBron James away from competing. I don't know what's up with that. I don't see him going back to Pat Riley either. Like, that's, that whole thing, but stranger things have happened. But yeah, LeBron, his legacy is set. I don't think going anywhere in the twilight of your career is going to, help you any. Just like Aaron Rodgers, like you winning another title isn't really going to change anything for people. Like, it's not. Like, you're never going to be better than that's over with. Your longest tenured team is with the Lakers, and ironically, you will never be remembered as a Laker because ironically, you didn't win enough to, like, because the Lakers, they're the Cowboys, the Yankees. Like, you can't just win one. Like, you can't, like, that's not enough. Like, that's it.
And he won 1 or 2 with the Lakers.
I believe 2. I'm sorry. He had the bubble ring and then the other. Yeah.
I was going to say it was the bubble and then, the legit.
So in
one
my
after
personal record book, he only won 1, but
one. Yeah. I don't think you're the only one thinking like that either. Yeah.
Yeah. But 2, even 2 is not like, especially if you have the bubble ring for the Lakers, is not good enough. So, let me quick maths on this. How many rings does LeBron have with the Lakers?
Oh, maybe it is just one. Maybe it's just one.
Oh yeah, just the bubble ring. Yeah,
just the bubble. Yeah,
because he has the one with
2 in Miami, 1 in Cleveland,
2 in Miami, and 1 with the Lakers. About to say he only has 4. So yeah, definitely that. Winning 1 is not enough for the Lakers. Like that's that's team is that's good enough for Cleveland.
Winning 1 6 years ago, in
a ring that a lot of people put an asterisk on because the circumstances. Regardless of how fair that is or not, that's a thing. Like that's a real argument.
I mean, people said it about all the championship teams that year, right? I mean, sans NFL because all that wrapped up before everything went down. But I mean, people were saying that shit about the Dodgers, and then they came back and I mean, come on, they proved that they were with it. So yeah, I mean, it's not uncommon for people to look at that with a little bit like, oh, it was kind of short. I don't know, it was the shorter route to get there, but you still got it.
Yeah. All right, Bert. NHL underdogs. We got some underdogs that are making fights of things. And it's weird to call Buffalo. I'm only calling Buffalo an underdog because they've been dog shit the last couple of years, and they've all of a sudden made this like crazy run and been like really good. And then obviously Anaheim's in there. So again, Buffalo's not really a surprise, but the way they've done it.
Not a surprise because they had a dominant regular season, but like not being in a postseason for 11 years. And then, there's always that risk that regardless of how good your regular season was, even the best teams can get bounced the first round. And it's always like, all right, how are they going to get through round 1? They got through round 1. It's like, all right, how are you going to manage round 2? And they just tied up the series yesterday as well. So I do understand if people want to be like, well, they're not underdogs. They won the Atlantic Division. But to the same point, like, I think by comparisons to some of the other teams that have been there, like, yeah, they're underdogs. And like, rest assured, sure as shit, if they go into the next round and play Carolina, they will be the fucking underdogs there too. So I guess maybe not label them underdogs for the sake of this conversation, but certainly surprising to say the least. So
which one of the two would you bet on to make like a run to the Stanley Cup final? If you had to pick,
it'd be the Sabres. It'd be the Sabres for sure. Between them and the Ducks, absolutely. And look, I've been loving seeing the Ducks, but like we've got to remember, like they were mid-tier going into the playoffs. They advanced against a really now in a Golden Knight team, but the thing is, like, they're gaining momentum, right? So they just lost in overtime last night in Vegas, so they'll bring it back to Anaheim. So they have a chance to tie it up, force a game 7. Like they're going back and forth. So if I'm putting my confidence level in one versus another, it's definitely the Sabres because the Sabres also have arguably an easier path because I think Colorado is just a more dominant team. Even if the Sabres advance and play Carolina as dominant they are, I don't think they're if it ends up being Canes and Colorado, it's going to be a good series, but I just think Colorado offensively is a little bit better and they have more consistent goaltending. Although, hey, listen, nothing against Carolina's defense in the playoffs too. But yeah, I mean, look, Buffalo's only weakness, now that I've brought up goaltending, has been inconsistent goaltending, which is, I think, why that Montreal's making a series out of it. So I do think Anaheim has the better there. But if I am putting money on it, it's going to be the Sabres, 100%.
Yeah, Anaheim's been playing this like chaotic style of hockey.
It's just like, greasy playoff hockey is what it is. Yeah. You just take advantage as much as you can.
I don't know if the track style meet version of hockey rarely wins, probably not, but I do know the Buffalo is controlling. I think they average 54% of their shots on goal I think they lead shots on goal on 5-on-5 hockey in the playoffs. So I mean, they're playing, like you said, just dominant. Like it's not fluky, right? Like they've been winning the same way the entire time. So I think they're going to definitely out of the two make a better run. I think also. Let's see. The Sabres boast 3 of the most dominant individual possession players in the playoffs. So Josh Dillon, Rasmus Dahlin, and Zach Benson at 67%, 65%, and 64%. So I mean, definitely. And Buffalo's playing with the desperation of the city, man. Like they're playing with Like Buffalo has been starving for some type of championship, like between the Bills and the Sabres, the only two, I guess. I don't know if you want to throw Toronto Blue Jays in that, but I don't. Like, and I'm talking about the city. I mean, just proximity.
Yeah, that's always tough, right? It's always just like, look, you have people in Toronto that root for the Buffalo Bills, like American football wise. Then you have people in Buffalo that root for the Blue Jays because each city doesn't have a football team or a baseball team. But, rest assured they hate each other when it comes down to hockey. I guess basketball too. Maybe they root for the Raptors. I don't even know. But yeah, no, I mean, I think I've been so impressed with how they've been handling it and their dominance in just, every step of the way. I don't want to say I wrote them off. I just think mentally I just undersold them. I'm just like, yeah, it's Buffalo, whatever. Like it is what it is. But no, they've been going through it. So I mean, honestly, I'm rooting for them. I am. Like it's been a tough series to watch because look, Montreal hasn't had a lot of success in years. They've had plenty of success before that though. But listen, they've been starved for a hockey championship in quite some time. So I know their city really wants it too. Their fans are so passionate as well. But I would not be surprised at this point if that goes 7, if they do truly back and forth.
We'll see. We'll definitely see. All right, Bert, last one. Let's do a little baseball. Yeah. Oakland Athletics. Don't look now, Bert. Don't look now at the standings. The Oakland Athletics are sitting on top of the AL West in mid-May. That's not fake news. It's not a glitch in the matrix, or we're not living in a simulation. Nope. We're long ways from Moneyball and spending to win. We're not doing Dodger ball these days. They're just a bunch of hungry, undervalued prospects just making it happen in Sacramento. So fair or foul, is it time to stop treating this team like a punchline and start treating them like the real deal? Are they threats to the AL West or the AL in general? Go ahead, Bert.
You had me at AL West. I was like, yeah, I mean,
AL West. I know, maybe I got too excited.
AL in general, I mean, they can compete. Maybe
let's stick to AL West.
If they don't win the West, then like maybe a wild card, right? But but yeah, no, I look at this point, but I mean, what does that tell you? More about the AL West, or more about because the whole division in itself isn't overwhelming, right? You have a struggling Seattle team. The same thing with the Rangers. Then, I mean, you look at the bottom of the barrel where the Astros and Angels are hanging out, honestly, in the 16-win club alongside your New York Mets. But it's, it is one of those things where, like, even in May and after 2 months of baseball, we're like, still a lot of the season left too. But I will put some respect on their name. I think, listen, being competitive in May is half the battle, and as you know, you just have to carry that through July. And once you're past that point, once you're past the All-Star break, that's when you're feeling good a little bit. So if they can sustain, then yeah, I think there needs to be a lot of respect thrown that way after what has been abysmal years and a sale of a team and a movement of a team in process. So yeah, I mean, we're talking about a division that have had some really good winning teams in the past couple of years too, despite the fact that collectively the division is a little bit less talented than the rest of the AL now. I'm not going to hold it against them because listen, they still got to win games. So I'm going to respect them. I don't think they're a juggernaut by any means, at least not in this point. And maybe they'll prove me wrong, but I will put some respect on their name right now.
Yeah, I think it's fair. Like, yeah, they've done excuse me. They've done what they say. My body won't even let me lie. I mean, think about it. Who's the teams everybody's expecting? Houston, right? They're 6 games ahead of Houston. Houston's struggling. Like you said, Seattle. People are expecting Seattle. Seattle's struggling. Now, listen, you can laugh at the record. I get it. They're 1 game over 500. But because of that, they're the only team in the AL West currently sitting above 500 as it stands today. So, Shea Langieres, 12 home runs. He's not, I mean, he's doing his part. The most impressive stat, they have 13 away wins. They don't have a home, so I guess you want to say all their games are away. They're playing in a temporary venue, but I like this us against the world mentality. I like this, every year, like, you have the Washington football team, the Utah hockey team, like these guys that are just really have nothing really to stand behind. They're just going out there and playing the game, and you're seeing it, right? The thing I value is something that I want the Sixers to do. they are placing efficiency over brand names, right? So if you think about it, the Houston Astros, the Texas Rangers have spent hundreds, the Dodgers too, hundreds of millions of dollars on payroll, the Mets, and yet, specifically in their division though, the Dodgers and the not the Dodgers, the Astros and the Rangers, looking up at the Athletics because of, hey, we're going after baseball players and we're gonna make it fit. So is it a little luck? I'm sure there's a little bit to it, but I'm very impressed. Is it sustainable? I don't know, but as it stands today, shoot, like there's nothing that the Mariners, there's nothing that the Astros, there's nothing that the Rangers or anybody else is doing that's making me like, yeah, they're gonna get it together, like, at some point, like, and maybe they will, but the Athletics are playing good
Seattle's
baseball,
got the biggest chance, right? Because they have a
100%.
chance to turn on, especially with Cal Raleigh turning it back on again as well. And look, they're only a game behind, but when you compare them to how they were last year, that's when we say struggling. Like Germ and I are just like, they don't look like themselves, and
No.
complemented by the fact that you have the Oakland, I can't even say the Oakland Athletics, just the Athletics up there. I mean, it's good to see. I love seeing fresh blood up at the top, as long as it's not in the AL East. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine with me. Yeah.
For sure. All right. Well, Bert, listen, do you have a game ball you want to give out?
Yes, I do. Jeremy, we love the expansion of sports, and particularly certain leagues too. I have to give it up to the WPHL too. The Women's Professional Hockey League have announced that they are expanding to not one, not two, but 3 new teams next year, bringing it up from an 8-team league all the way up to 11. And where they're going, so they're going to Vegas, they're going to Detroit, and they're going to Hamilton, Ontario. That's right. The expansion in Canada outside of what I would consider a major city like your Torontos, your Montreals, your Calgarys, but a huge hockey city nonetheless. And they're not just going to see one hockey team return. They're also going to see an AHL team return there as well. So huge for the town, but huge for the PHL. And it's just complemented by the fact that there is so much talent that came out of booming, like the Olympics and the success that all hockey had there, but particularly the women's Olympic hockey. They had at least five, I think, if not more, from the women's U.S. gold medal team are eligible for this year's draft. But I mean, led by Caroline Harvey, of Layla Edwards, who had the game tying assist in the gold medal game. Hillary Knight's goal, she had the assist on that one too. If Kristen Sims, Abby Murphy, and of course Tessa Janecki too. So it's going to be a great draft, and with these expanded teams, I think all of which expected to have a 20-person roster to it as well. But man, Detroit and Vegas in there too, and I mean throw it in there for Hamilton, Ontario as well. But like I heard Detroit at first, and I was like, this is going to be great. And then they just recently announced Vegas and Hamilton. I was like, this is huge for them. So yeah, dude, I can't wait. It's going to be great. We've been to a couple Sirens games, obviously being in the New York, New Jersey area. We've had the luxury of going there. So I love watching, any competitive sports. I think what they're doing right now and just how they're branding and how they're competing with the NHL too is great. More and more fans to it. They broke an attendance record. Sirens usually play in Jersey. They broke an attendance record for women's hockey. They sold out MSG for one game this past season. So they might do more next year too, but it's going to be great to see, in addition to, Boston, Minnesota, Montreal, New York, Ottawa, Seattle, and Toronto, and Vancouver. We now have Hamilton, Detroit, and Vegas. So I can't wait, man. It's going to be great.
Sick. Mine is going to go to Chicago, not the Cubs, because I hate the Cubs. I hate anybody associated with the Cubs. I hate people who root for the Cubs or have podcasts dedicated to Cubs talk.
All right.
Whatever. I just don't like you. I don't like your face. I don't like your stupid beard. But mine is going to the other Chicago team, the Chicago White Sox, specifically. Damn, I butchered his name. I've been practicing name. Murakami, whatever his first name is. Mutanaka Murakami? I don't know. He's been a sensation for the White Sox. I think he tied the rookie home run record, 5 straight games. He's got 10 on the year. Now he's striking out 30% of the time. But still, he's been a bright spot for what Chicago White Sox baseball has been not good for a long time. So I don't know listen, I'm not sitting here saying he's bringing the White Sox back to relevance and dragging them out of the dungeon, but at least he's making them fun. And, so that's always the first step. If you're not going to be good, at least be fun. And, to give us something to watch, and you're actually, a reason to watch White Sox baseball. So.
They've been dogged for years now, though, right? Like they've been that
Yeah.
secondary Chicago team. So good to see them back in it and competitive.
Which is probably why I like them, because they're essentially the Mets of Chicago, right? Like they'll never get like, unless they go on like some dynastic run, they will never get top billing over the Chicago Cubs, which I understand. I just don't like it. But hey, one time for the South Side, I guess, shout out to them. So that's always a good thing. So shout out to Murakami. All right. Fun show. Thank you for joining us. Please like, share, subscribe, visit at Give Us a Shot Network on Facebook, IG, and TikTok again. Bert, you got anything else for the people?
Nothing else.
You guys go out and enjoy some apple pie.
I
actually have some apple pie moonshine coming my way as courtesy of my former fire chief. So I helped him out with the project, and I said, what kind of flavors you got on this moonshine? He said, I can make you anything you want. He said his apple pie is delicious. He puts
apple pie or bathtub flavor. That's it. Those are the only two flavors of moonshine, apparently.
Bathtub apple pie. We'll see.
We'll see how that. It depends who was in it.
I know. We got NFL schedule release that happened. We didn't get to today. Maybe we'll take a look at that and talk about it next week. My Bills open up their new stadium without a dome that cost $2.5 billion on Thursday Night Football in week 2. That's the only thing I really paid attention to. So that'll be fun. So it sucks, no roof, useless 2/3 of the year. And that's all good. I mean, but at least we made those soundproof rooms for the people that are sensitive to loud noises, at a football game. Whatever.